Today, we're going to talk about a community whose story has been ignored for way too long. We're looking at the Musahar people in India. And their story, well, it's just this incredible tale of resilience against almost unimaginable hardship.
So let's just start with their name, because right away you can feel the weight of it. Musahar. It literally means one who steals mice. I mean, think about that. A name that comes from a desperate act of survival, and it's turned into this heavy, heavy social stigma that's stuck with them for generations.
And you might think, oh, that's just history. But it's not. Not at all. This feeling of being an outcast, it's their daily reality, right now. This quote, it just hits you right in the gut. It's about that constant, crushing feeling of being hated, of being seen as less than human by the society around them.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we have to see it for ourselves. Let's take a look at where they live. We're about to step into a Musahar neighborhood, and the way the people who live there describe it, it's just harrowing.
And that's not me being dramatic. That is a direct quote. Our neighborhood is like hell. I mean, just let that sink in. It tells you everything about the lack of the most basic things, starting with, the actual ground they live on. There's no land to grow food, and sometimes not even enough room to just lie down and sleep. And here's what that hell-like reality actually looks like, day in and day out. You've got whole families packed into these tiny, den-like huts. They're often sleeping on just one single mat. And cooking? That happens right next to open sewers and piles of garbage. The smoke from their stoves burns their eyes, makes them cough, and just keeping a fire going is a constant struggle. Poverty like this doesn't just happen. It's not an accident. It's held in place by these systems of exploitation that are almost impossible to break free from. It's a vicious cycle, and it traps one generation after another. So, check out this number. This really shows you one of those traps in action. Predatory lenders, a lot of the time they're the local alcohol sellers. They'll give someone a loan for, say, 500 rupees, but then they'll demand 1,000 or even 2,000 rupees back. And it gets even darker. This isn't just about money. The sources tell us that these lenders often use this debt to force women into sexual relationships. It's absolutely sick.
And this is where the hypocrisy just smacks you in the face. Think about this. The same people who would refuse to drink a glass of water if a Musahar person touched it because they're considered unclean, those same people have no problem buying and drinking alcohol that the Musahars sell. It's this bizarre, jarring contradiction that just goes to show how deep and how twisted this prejudice really is.
So, this all brings us back to their name and to a really, really tough question. Why? Why are they forced to eat rats? It's a shocking thing to even think about, but the answer, well, it's just devastatingly simple.
And there's your answer, right there. It has nothing to do with tradition, and it is definitely not a choice. It's poverty, pure and simple. When you're fighting just to get 2 meals a day, when there's literally no money for food, you do whatever it takes to survive. This is a direct result of their economic situation.
Now, inside this community that's already pushed to the very margins, women and girls, they carry an even heavier weight. I mean, they're stuck at this horrible crossroads of poverty, caste discrimination, and gender inequality. And the consequences are just devastating.
Child marriage is a huge problem, and this isn't just a statistic on a page. The sources we looked at talk about a real, recent case, a girl who had a baby when she was just 14 years old, a child herself. This practice just destroys childhoods, it slams the door on any chance of education, and the health risks are enormous.
And the danger these women face can be just extreme. There's actually a word for it, Dholkadi. It's this custom where if there's a fight over a dowry, a woman can end up being poisoned, burned alive, beaten to death, or just abandoned by her husband's family. And this isn't just some abstract concept. This is the story of a woman who actually lived through a version of this Dholkadi. Her partner just ran away, abandoned her while she was pregnant, so she had no choice but to go back to her parents' house and start over, raising her child all alone. She is a living, breathing example of this horrific practice.
After hearing all of this, it's easy to just feel despair. But at its heart, this is a story about survival. The fight isn't just for them, it's for their kids. It's a fight for a future that they hope, against all odds, can be different.
And this number, this really shows you how steep that climb is. The literacy rate for the Musahar community today is less than 10%. Less than 10%. We all know education is the best way out of poverty, right? Well, for them, that path is pretty much completely blocked off. And this quote really explains why. It's simple, right? When your main goal every single day is just finding enough food to eat, how can you even begin to think about paying for school supplies or taking time off from work to let your kids study? Survival today, it always has to come before dreaming about tomorrow.
I want to leave you with one last story. It starts with a really simple question, something you or I would answer without even thinking. But when this question was asked to a widow who's raising her kids alone, her answer reveals something so profound about her life. Her answer is just staggering. She just says, no, she doesn't know her age. She explains that for girls where she's from, nobody really keeps track of birthdays or things like that. Life is just measured by one thing. You grow up and you get married off. Imagine that. Your own age, something so fundamental to who you are, is a total unknown.
So after her second husband passed away, she's left with this final, heartbreaking question. She's facing this long future, trying to raise 4 kids by herself with no one to help, and the question of how she's going to manage, it just seems impossible to answer. But her answer, it isn't about giving up. It's just pure, powerful resilience. Her motivation is so simple, so strong. The children. After everything she's been through, her entire focus is on that next generation. It's this quiet, incredible statement about the human will to survive no matter what.